The masters are meeting and the drums are certainly beating. The sound of war is back. So here we are again. The depravity, the insanity, the profanity, the disgraceful, disgusting actions of leaders are taking us back to war. But one war in particular, that of course is the war in Ukraine. The invasion, the invaded, the public, the people, the children, the mothers, the fathers, lying on the floor with their blood running down the street, where the ground lies soaked with the souls of men for thousands of years, and it will come back to haunt those who stood and watched. But where will this war go? Nobody ever really knows. But one thing we do know for sure, most wars are based on the foundation of the basic national need for something. It's easy to wonder why Hitler was so successful, but history has revealed why he was so successful. The German people needed basics like food, like shelter. After the First World War, they'd been deprived and rightly were paying the price for their actions during that First War. And of course, their leader at the time promised to give them everything that they were asking for and take away everything they had in the long term. But this is a different kind of war that the Russians, or should we say Vladimir Putin, is conducting in Ukraine. Because really it's a war based on past beliefs that these bigger nations or tribes can walk in and take and implement and secure against the will of the local populace. The difference is now is there's no national need to take land. There's no national need to invade. There's no national need for anything. This is the quest of one man or a few men. And that quest for power to possibly, it has been said, to reinvent, rebuild and resecure the old USSR, which of course in itself was a hugely failed experiment. I would say one of the best annual trips me and my wife had that I enjoyed more than anything was our trip over to Russia. I completely loved it. And being a Tolstoy fan, we visited Tolstoy's house and did all the other things that you're supposed to do when you go to any famous city or country. And of course they had their fame for their reasons of fame. Going into the Red Square and seeing the Kremlin, for me personally, I found it incredible because of the volume of history pumping out from those walls, seeping through the ground and self-explaining to you why these Kremlin walls are here, why Tolstoy was the man he was. And for that I loved Russia. I loved the writers, Pushkin, Dostoevsky and all these other great lyricists, just beautiful to read about and to discover. But at the same time, you know, we have this old Russi or Viking mannerism that's still deeply ingrained within the Russian culture or the Russian leadership. And that is this objective of war and destruction and take. But interesting, the generation of people we live with now, especially millennials and below, they have grown up in more what I would call a borderless world, where the only thing that really defines one nation from another nation is their culturalisms rather than anything else, because the web removed borders and allowed people to see, to feel and act and react and absorb other cultures, really. Absorb other cultures. So I remember the first time I went to the Republic of Georgia, to Tbilisi, where we also live. And I thought everybody looked so different. They had jeans on, black trainers and black leather jackets, and the men had black short hair. where now they look exactly the same as what you see in Manchester. Long hair, tattooed, looking cool artisan. So these new generations they have integrated each other, and they don't have a need for war. They don't have a quest for power. They don't have a need to see blood spilled down a street just to show someone else that they are tougher than them. So this is a war that's going to be built on nothing, and a war that ultimately will not be able to stand. Because for a war to succeed, it has to have the backing of the populace. And this war in particular, this invasion in particular, does not have the backing of the populace. In fact, it has backfired to the point where, sadly, sickeningly, the populace of Russia will suffer dramatically, not through warfare, but through the seclusion that they will go through. And they are now being enforced upon them. And from corporations, from producers, from makers, from everything. Very soon the average Russian will not be able to travel. They will not be able to buy, they will not be able to purchase. They will not have a simpler life like we have. So does Putin really want them just to go back and pick up a spade and start digging up the fields to grow their own food? Well, it's looking that way, yes, it's looking that way. And let's hope they don't suffer as much as it looks like they may do, because their confidence right now might be high, thinking, well, everything still seems the same. But actually, we have houses in Tbilisi, and suddenly our Russian friends that we love having in our houses, they cannot even use their cards in Tbilisi. So not only are they going to be banned from travelling out of Russia, from, I forgot the date, March the 16th or the 8th or something, not only are they going to be banned from, they're going to be banned from entering other countries and enjoying other cultures and absorbing, which in turn will create a bitter, insular society that ultimately will swallow up the people in power over there. So war is a depraved act of humankind. There's nothing new in war. It's a barbaric action based on the idea or the concepts of one or two men. And the nation gets sucked into it, where mothers will cry because their children are lying bloodied and dead on the streets, where fathers will cry with their children in their arms with their limbs blown off through the idea of one man, where grandparents will cry when they see their grandchildren and their own children lying dead in the house that has just been bombed from an aerial bombardment, where the man at the other end simply presses a button and doesn't see the results of his instant actions. So these are trying, terrible, shocking times. But we should know this. This war will see the end of the leadership in Russia as we know it. History has already revealed the outcome. But sickeningly and sadly, how many young people, how many old people, how many mothers, how many fathers will have to lose their lives again? He shall kill fathers. He shall kill mothers. He shall take sons. He shall take daughters. He is the darkness that all men fear. He is bastard. He is war.